Hi guys and welcome to my March TBR. Most of the books this month are review books. There's a couple that aren't. There's obviously the classic which I had you guys vote on. And yeah, so this is hopefully going to be quick and fast. The book on my March TBR is Broken Sky by L.A. Weatherly. I actually already read this and finished this yesterday, which was the 2nd of March. So I've already read this and finished it and it was amazing. I loved it and the review's up on my blog, so you should check it out. I didn't know much about this going in, and I think that really worked because it added a whole mystery to this book and kept you intrigued and trying to work out what was going on. So I'm not going to say much about what it's about other than what's on the back. This book is set in a 1940s that is an alternate to our 1940s. It's very different because the world is very different. It's supposedly a perfect world. War is illegal, harmony rules, and your date of birth marks your destiny and what happens to you. And obviously the world isn't as perfect as it appears, things are very wrong with it, and all of it comes out and Amity has to deal with it. Loved it, and that's all I'm telling you guys. The second book on my March TBR is Lady Midnight by Cassandra Clare. I'm hoping to spend the weekend reading this because it's really, really big, but yeah. So Lady Midnight, this is the first book in a Shadowhunters trilogy called The Dark Artificers. It's set 5 years after the Mortal Instruments, or 5 years after the events of City of Heavenly Fire. I'm not sure how much I'm allowed to say to you. I'm not allowed to tell you anything about what's in the book, so my notes are on the Goodreads synopsis because I figure that's safe. It was Emma Carstairs and Julian Blackthorne and the Blackthorne family, and we met all of them in City of Heavenly Fire, and we also had a bit in City of Heavenly Fire that told us about them and their situation that is very important for you to read before you read this. Guys, seriously, do not read this if you haven't read City of Heavenly Fire first, because otherwise it's just going to be like, ugh. Yeah, just read City of Heavenly Fire first. Basically, in this book, Emma is on a quest to find the killer of her parents. Her and Julian are parabatai. She's living with the Blackthorne family at the LA Institute. The LA Institute. Demonic plot going on, and the fairies are basically like, if you solve it and stop fairies getting killed, we'll give you back Mark, except Mark's been away for so long. And yeah, that's all I'm saying about it. I know a lot more about the plot and what goes on in the plot, but I can't remember where I know that from, so I'm only saying what's on the Goodreads synopsis because I really don't want to get in trouble. Really don't want to get in trouble. Third book on my March TBR is Fallout by Gwenda Bond. I'm actually starting this next and I'm really excited. Lois Lane. Yeah, it says Lois Lane Fallout, so we all know it's about Lois Lane. In this book, Lois Lane is an army brat. Her and her family have just moved to Metropolis and they're going to be staying there and putting roots down, so she really wants to fit in. At her new high school, there's a group called the Warheads who are messing with this girl's mind using a very high-tech immersive video game. Lois has just become a journalist and she wants to solve the mystery and put a stop to all of it. With all of that going on, obviously she's very stressed out, so she's very lucky she has an online friend with the username Smallville Guy to help her out. We all know who that is. We all know who that is. I am ridiculously excited that they're including him that soon in this, not gonna lie. The next book on my March TBR is The Immorality Engine by George Mann. I said that really high-pitched. Third book in the Newbury and Hobbs series. They're steampunk books, there's murder and there's mystery, and they're always absolutely brilliant and funny. In this book, Newbury is succumbing more and more to his opium addiction. A huge reason for that is because of the whole Veronica and Queen Victoria thing that he found out at the end of the last book, and he thinks that she has betrayed him and he has no idea what's going on, so he's run straight to the opium, and his friend Bainbridge is trying to cover for him as much as he can, but when a well-known criminal is murdered, they have to drag him out of an opium den, and then a few days later, a crime is committed with all the hallmarks of the dead criminal, and they have to solve what the hell is going on. Is it a copycat or is it something else? And knowing these books, it's probably something else, because it usually is. And I hate to think what, but yeah. Next book on my March TBR is Those Below by Daniel Polanski. This is the conclusion to a duology, the first one being Those Above. It was an incredible book, original, and I'm excited to see how it all ends in this. In these books, basically, for centuries, humans have been ruled by those above, who are eternal godlike beings, and that's all I'm going to say because I don't want to spoil it for you guys. The next book on my TBR is Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. Goblet of Fire is definitely my favourite Harry Potter book and film, closely followed by Half-Blood Prince. So I'm excited to get to read my favourite Harry Potter book again. I'm so excited to get to reread this. It is really big though, and I have quite a few big books this month, so this might not end well. But yeah, obviously in this book the Triwizard Tournament has come to Hogwarts, so you have other schools and people arriving to compete in it, and then Harry gets entered even though he's not supposed to be because he's too young, and he has to try and survive the tournament, and Mad-Eye Moody is here, and there's all this other stuff going on. The next book on my March TBR is To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee. This is my 2016 Classics Challenge book for the month, for March. Obviously, you guys voted on it because I couldn't decide and I had a few options. I'm really pleased you guys picked this one for me to read because I'm still can't believe that I haven't read it yet. We never did this one in school and I've been itching to read it because obviously everyone has read it except for me, and I feel intense shame that I haven't read it yet. And I'm also excited because this is a more modern classic, so the language is going to be easier and it's shorter. And so I'm excited to get started on it. All I really know about it is that there's two siblings called Jem and Scout, and then their father Atticus, and he is a lawyer and he takes on the case of a black man, and then all this bad stuff happens because at the time everyone was really racist. So that's all I really know about that, so I'm excited to see what it's all about. I'm not entirely sure if I'll read the sequel though, because even though I haven't read that when the sequel came out, I was a bit like, can we really? I'm not sure I'm comfortable reading that, ever. The final book on my March TBR is The Map of Bones by Francesca Haig. This is the second book in a trilogy, the first being The Fire Sermon. The Fire Sermon was one of my favourite books of 2015. I loved it, it was original and it was just amazing. It's a fantasy, from what I remember. It's a fantasy, so I'm excited to dive into the second book and see what happens next. Obviously, this being the second book, I'm not going to say much because I don't want to ruin it for you guys. But I will tell you what I can tell you, which is that the books are set 400 years in the future and the Earth is very primitive after a huge nuclear fire. Literally every single person is born with a twin. One twin is always an alpha who is supposedly physically perfect in every way, and then the other twin is an omega who usually has a deformity of some kind, and the omegas are branded and ostracized and the alphas are superior and blah blah blah. One twin dies, so does the other. Doesn't matter which twin it is, the other one will die. We follow Cass, who is a very rare omega with the gift of psychic foresight. Her twin is in the council, and he's a douchebag, giant douchebag. And Cass wants equality, which puts her on everyone's shit list, basically. The council and the resistance both want her dead because of it, which seems a bit counterproductive for the omegas, but there you go. So I'm excited to see what happens next in that, because the first book, I just can't even. I just remember things in that book and I'm forever scarred. But yeah, so that has been my March TBR. Kind of, I was going to say it's less ambitious than usual, but it's kind of about the same because a lot of those books are really big. Really big. You know down below what is on your TBR for the month, and as usual social media links will be down below, so come say hey, and all the book depository links will be down below as well. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed my March TBR and I hope to see you guys soon.